Alright, so this Knife Thoughts video is going to be a review of the SOG PowerPint multi-tool. And this is a multi-tool that I've been interested in for a while and didn't get because it would come up for sale and then go back to a price that I didn't really want to pay, and also because a lot of reviews for this tool aren't the highest praise. Often they'll say that it's a nice size and it has some nice features, but overall it's just not the best multi-tool out there. And it came up for sale on Black Friday and for a price that I thought was pretty reasonable, so I decided to go ahead and get it. And the reason I had wanted it for a while is because I carry a bunch of things as a kind of true EDC in a pouch that I have. And one of those things is a multi-tool. And I have gone back and forth between carrying the Leatherman Squirt, which is a great little tool, but it doesn't have a can opener. And a lot of people don't use a can opener. I actually do pretty often for my lunches and stuff. And I've used the blade on this as a can opener. It's pretty beat up here, as you can see. And that just kind of makes it so that the blade isn't super useful as a blade after you use it as a can opener. Then I added in a Leatherman Juice CS3. I actually got this mostly because I wanted to have it for if I was doing, traveling by plane. This doesn't have a blade, so you can carry it on a plane. It has a can opener, bottle opener, it has a wine opener, and then it has, scissors. It's actually a nice little tool, especially, if you travel a lot. But with both of these together, it just kind of was taking up a lot of space. And one weird thing, I don't think I've done a review on this, I'm not sure, but this doesn't have a key ring at all, so it's kind of like hard to, store. It just was loose in the pouch and kind of fell out every time I opened it. So it's weird that this doesn't have a key ring at least. But anyway, I would carry these two for a while and it just wasn't working out super well. I also have tried carrying a Swiss Army knife. In fact, I typically, would have a Swiss Army knife in my backpack that I take to work. But the downside to most Swiss Army knives is that they don't have the pliers. Now, to be honest, I use the pliers not very often, probably even less than the can opener. But it's just nice to have the pliers if you need them. And a multi-tool, a plier-based multi-tool can feel like a more true kind of multi-tool that can tackle most of the things that you might encounter than one without the pliers. So I do really like Swiss Army knives. Victorinox makes really, really good knives, but I wanted one that fit and had the pliers, and I didn't want to go with a full-size Leatherman. Full-size Leathermans are just too big. It wouldn't fit in that pack. This is actually not mine. This is my wife's Leatherman Blast. But something like this size just didn't seem like it would fit well in the the carry system that I wanted to use for the multi-tool. And so this SOG PowerPint is really right in the middle between the mini Leathermans, the keychain Leathermans like the Squirt, and the full-size Leathermans and other multi-tools also. Gerber Dime is one that people like in the keychain size, or even the Leatherman Juices are actually a little bit bigger, although I haven't had one. These are relatively expensive when you get the ones with the pliers and such. But this fit between those sizes and seemed like it would fit well in the carry system. Now I got it, and the first thing here that I noticed is it is a really nice size. This is something that you could definitely carry in your pocket with this clip that it comes with. I do like that it comes with a clip. I think that pretty much all Leathermans should at least have, or multi-tools like this should at least have the option to have a clip at this point. I certainly don't like putting another thing on my belt, like with the belt carry sheaths that come with some Leathermans. So I do like that it has the clip, and I think that it's a great size for clip carry. Now, getting into some of the things that I don't like about this. First of all, like a lot of Leathermans that are not one-hand open or that are set up like this, when you open a tool here, All these tools are two-hand open, which, you know, I carry slip joints a lot of the time, so that's really not a huge deal, especially being that this isn't a knife or a tool that I'm going to carry as my main tool all the time. It's more of a backup in my EDC. But one thing that happens relatively often when you open one of these is it opens other ones also. And some of them are even kind of hard to get to on their own. So like this hook thing I can't really get at on its own, but if you open the file, it'll open that, as well as you can see, this small flathead screwdriver. So that's one thing. They open at the same time, and when they do that, what'll happen is it won't lock. So because this tool is partway open, the lock goes across all of the tools, so it won't lock the blade open. So the blade here is actually not locked, even though it's fully open, until I put those down, and now it's locked. And it basically works like a back lock, but it's across all of the tools. So that's one thing. I'm not a big fan of that. I know a lot of multi-tools use this type of lock, and it's, you know, something you see on a lot of them, but there are newer kind of generations or models of multi-tools that use different locks than this, and I don't really like that they, you know, multiple of the tools will come out at once and then it won't really lock until you close it. So that's one thing I'm not a huge fan of. Like I said, also some of the tools are hard to get at, but the tools also just, I guess, aren't just as nice as I'd like. Specifically the can opener. Where is it here? That's the bottle opener. No, that's the can opener. So see, I'm opening the can opener and the serrated blade comes out. But the can opener is like not really sharpened much, if at all. It does have a little bit of an angle to it there where it's sharpened, but man, this thing gave me a lot of trouble. I've used it to open like 3 cans already or something, and it does not make it easy. You're more just like smashing through, and in fact at some points I almost just like used the blade because it was not working well at all. So is that something that would be better if I, you know, ground that edge a little bit more acutely myself? Yeah, but I don't think you should have to do that. I think it should come with an edge ground more like, and here is a good example, I think probably my favorite multi-tool can opener is the Victorinox. It's ground on both sides. I've used this one a lot, as you can see, but it's ground on both sides, and it just works really well. Even the Leatherman can opener on this, it's not super well ground. In fact, it's kind of flat. It's maybe even less well ground, but because this one works a little bit different, it doesn't matter as much. I have used this one and it works better than this one, although the Leatherman Juice one does not work as well as the Swiss Army Knife Victorinox one. But this works the least well of all of them I've had so far. So a little bit disappointed in that, especially since that's kind of one of the main reasons that I switched away from the Leatherman Squirt. The scissors also are not the best. As you can see, a little bit difficult to get out. But the scissors also are not the best. You can see that it like locks on both the spring and the bar here, but they work, but I found that it just doesn't cut very smoothly, and I think that it's because it's not a very long, you know, jaws or blades on the scissors, and also it doesn't open very widely, which is kind of strange. It actually does kind of lock here. It doesn't open any wider than that, and they're not very like thinly ground. Again, actually I don't have, I'll show the Leatherman scissors. So these Leatherman scissors actually work better than the I should clean this off before this, but better than the ones on the SOG here, because you can see that they are actually, has a primary grind here and a primary grind here, and then the secondary bevel, which is actually more acute also. But it can open wider, as you can see too, and these just do work better than these. These do not have a primary grind. It's literally just the bevel, the secondary grind. So I've used these some and not super happy with them. If I can get it out, the bottle opener works okay. Not the greatest bottle opener in the world, but works okay. The knife kind of same deal. It's not the worst. It works, and it does actually have. It's not a chisel grind. It has a primary grind on both sides, but it's not the greatest knife out there. It's fine. It works okay, but just not as good as even I would say something like the Leatherman here. This Leatherman blade is ground relatively well and works well, even though it has a chisel secondary grind. And definitely nowhere near as good as the blades on a Swiss Army knife. So again, works okay, but just not as good as you might hope. And I actually haven't used the screwdrivers. The screwdriver seems okay, just a small screwdriver. And then I don't know that I'll have a whole lot of use for this whatever cutting hook. You could use this for packages, I guess, or like rope, but I don't know that I'll have a big use for it. And then it also has a file. The file actually seems okay. I haven't used it much. I used it just a little bit. I haven't used it much yet. I don't know that it's like the sharpest teeth I've ever felt on a file. Like, I don't really feel like it's doing a whole lot on my thumbnail there. Hopefully, that's just because I haven't used it on metal or plastic or anything like that yet, but I don't really feel that it has the sharpest teeth I've ever felt. So again, it has that tool, but how useful is that tool going to be? I'm not real sure. And then it has what I believe they call an awl, and I do like to have an awl on a multi-tool. Particularly, I really like the awl on the Swiss Army knives, the Victorinox awl on this, and the non-Alox awl. This awl is interesting. You could probably use it as like a sewing awl. You could put some, rope or whatever through there, but it's kind of thick. Again, you see how there's no primary grind on this. It's just that secondary grind. And then let's see, are there any other tools I haven't shown over here? Just one more. Well, I haven't really shown. There's the serrated blade. That's another thing I would like to have, a serrated blade, and I don't really like combo serrated knives, so that was one of the things that drew me to it. And then it also has, as you can see, a little, I think, #1 Phillips screwdriver. Haven't used that at all actually yet. So I do like the tool set. The tool set is another thing that drew me to it, but unfortunately the tools don't seem, that well done. A couple other things it has a angle measure thing here, so you can see if you line up, that's 90 degrees, that's 60 degrees, 30 degrees. You see these lines are lining up, so it has an angle. And then you can put a bit in there, so it does have a magnetic bit driver in there, and it has this compound system on the pliers, which is the kind of last tool here. It has needle nose pliers, normal pliers, and wire cutters. I don't think that these are hard wire cutters, so that's something to be aware of. And the needle nose, I really hate it when needle nose pliers don't actually come together. They kind of like just sit separated. Hopefully, yeah, there, you can kind of see that there. They don't actually come together. So anything super small that you're trying to get with these, you're not going to be able to get it really. Anything like really thin, like a hair or something like that. And I did, have tried to use them, and they just don't come together, and I really don't like that when that is. So another thing on the tools where they're not made, exactly as I'd like, and I think that's kind of evident across. Oh, I forgot one more thing. It does have a roller. The roller is, I actually used the roller a little bit for measuring a package, but the roller is not super useful because the pliers are in the way. But I just, all of these tools, or most of these tools, not having set primary grinds, they just have the secondary grinds, like on the scissors and like on the can opener and the awl, and it just seems like it's not a very finely made tool, I guess. They'll work, they'll kind of work, not as well as other tools, but they'll kind of work if you need them to, but they're not going to be perfect. They're not going to work super great. And so as you can tell, this is, not the most positive review that I've done. A lot of times I'm, really excited about a knife to review it and show it. And this isn't honestly one of those. Now, I do think I'm going to continue to carry it just because it is a backup and I don't use it that much, but I might look at a different, medium-sized Leatherman or something like that. But kind of the I guess, lesson I'm taking from this is that if all of the reviews of something don't seem super positive, there's probably a reason for that. I typically think that I can tell if I'll like something based on its, characteristics and the company making it and things like that. And I don't think this one lived up to what I was hoping, but did live up to what I saw when I watched reviews of it. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend this unless you really want something in this specific size. One last thing, it does not have spring pliers, which amazingly the Squirt does. So another kind of downside to it. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend these unless you really want something in this specific size. But even at that, I think that there are probably better options, especially because I don't think that this is on the sale that I got it on anymore as of me filming this. So this is the SOG PowerPint, not the most glowing review for sure, but I hope it's helpful to you. And if so, go ahead and like the video and subscribe to my channel. You can hit the bell for notifications when I post new videos. Also check out my Instagram at Knife Thoughts and my website knifethoughts.com, where I post articles on knives and knife related topics. And last but not least, don't forget to go out and do good.